Hey guys, our power's back on, so I'm finally able to sit down and do this with you today. I hope you guys did okay with the storm last night. I think it was just Westfield that lost power. I don't think there was a ton in Zionsville. But yeah, that's what's been going on here. We are talking today again about our still lifes, but we are also going to get into some experimental painting. I've got like all sorts of weird stuff over here. So we're gonna get into that in a minute. But first I had a couple of housekeeping items. So here's the first thing. I've been going through our submissions that we've had on the discussion post, and not all of us are turning in our stuff, which I know like it's just a weird time and not all of us have the same technology capabilities. If you're having trouble submitting something, send it to me through an email. I like most of us to use the Dropbox, but if you have to send it through an email, do that. It's always better to at least get it to me rather than just not doing it at all. So next week we're gonna be doing our Power School like grading. So you're gonna see some of those grades hit from the e-learning that you've done so far. So if you haven't turned something in, make sure you get it to me today, tomorrow, over the weekend, so that I can make sure that you get credit for that, okay? From the submissions that I did see, a couple of things I was really happy with. A lot of you had some really neat still life drawings, and I wanted to call a few people out here. Just a few people who, when I was going through these, I thought, wow, they spent a really good amount of time on this. They've got great detail. They added in some shadowing. So those people are, I had Kylie Shine. She did a great job. Evan Foster. Mason Burns had an awesome drawing. Alex Ray had a cool shoe drawing. Kate Bowen and Ellie Bennyworth. So great job to everyone, especially those people there. As you're working towards, completing this course in the next couple weeks, keep in mind that I know our supplies are limited. It's just different than being in the classroom, but do the best you can. Don't, and take your time. If you don't get it done in the day that it's due, turn it in the next day and make sure it's done really well. So that's a little bit with that today. We're gonna get into some experimental painting. So I have been wanting to try this, and this is kind of a good excuse, us being at home, to do that. So here's what we're gonna do today. We are going to be experimenting with some non-traditional painting supplies. So like thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago, and even today, people have been painting with things other than like, my thing's, I have my window open and this little tripod sitting here, and I'm really nervous the whole thing is gonna blow over. So let's see, looks like it's gonna storm in a second. Okay, we're gonna keep going. So here are some of the supplies that you could use for this painting. I want you to experiment. Think of anything in your house that is a powder or granular. So what I started with first was some soil. So soil paintings are really common, or not really common, but it's something people are doing to get really nice earthy colors. So if you have nothing else, you can at least go out and get a cup of dirt. This is just from a potted plant, but it could be a potted plant. It could be like literally the ground that's underneath your grass. Make sure that you talk to the adults that you live with, that it's okay that you're digging something up, but get a little cup of dirt. You want that next to you. You'll want some water. I've got a dish of water here. And then I kind of got out, I was kind of pretending like I was on a little cooking show here. I got out some dishes, some small dishes that I'm going to mix up some other concoctions with. When I do lunch duty, I always see that you guys like to mix up all sorts of like weird, nasty stuff. So this might be right up your alley. Here's some other supplies that I have. I grabbed paprika, because I thought it was a pretty red. I grabbed cinnamon. Now I've tested out the cinnamon. It's a lot lighter, but still works. And I also grabbed, this one was really fun. This is turmeric. It's a bright yellow, and the paint that you can make from it is exactly that color. And then another thing that I grabbed, not a lot of you will have this, but if you have this here, this is actually a face mask. So like, I don't know if a lot of you will have this, but it is a greenish color, and when you add water to it, it turns almost like a turquoise. So I grabbed some of this. If you have any sort of powdered clay, that would work for this. Another thing, if you don't have any of those cooking supplies and you just have dirt, you could also grab some sidewalk chalk. Sidewalk chalk could be used for this as well. I don't have sidewalk chalk, I just have like regular chalk. So I grabbed some regular chalk. Chalk works too. So the idea is simple. You're taking a chalky substance and you are adding water to it to just make this kind of like a paste almost. And then we're gonna be painting with that. So I've got different columns here. I've got my clay mask, paprika, turmeric, and dirt. I went ahead and put the dirt with some water in this canister here. And the reason I did that is because my dirt had a lot of like mulch and rocks and things in it, and I wanted to sift some of that out. So if you can see there, I've got some holes, and I just filled a dish with that dirt mixture. I just poured it out of here into this, and it gave me a really nice kind of consistency there. Now, of course, the more water you add to something, the lighter it's going to be. So keep that in mind, just like regular watercolors. So I'm gonna start with the dirt category first. Now I haven't tried this exact mixture that I have here, so I'm just dipping it into the dirt water. And you can kind of see it's a really light gray. So the first thing I want you guys to do is I want you to have a page where you're experimenting with different supplies. If you want to be fancy, you could even make a value scale. We should know that when we add more of the substance, so now I'm just taking my brush and dipping it right into the dirt. I'm gonna get a little bit of water and just paint directly on the page. You don't want to add too much water or else you'll start to go through the page. Take the dust off. We'll go through the paper. Okay, so you can see that's kind of a nice dark kind of gray there. I'm gonna wash my brush and I'm gonna try the turmeric. So I've already mixed this up. I added in a pretty good scoop of turmeric. I added a little bit of water. I would start really light with the water. This is almost like a baby food consistency, but it's a really pretty citron color. Just like that. And if I wanted to make it lighter, all I have to do is add some water and you'll get a much lighter watercolor consistency right next to it. So instead of adding water into the little dish, I've kind of been taking some of my substance, dipping it in my plain water bucket, and then painting from there. I find it makes it a little cleaner. Okay, so that's some experimenting with the yellow. I'm gonna try now, I've not mixed this up, I'm gonna try the paprika. Whoop. Just like that. Gonna add some water. This is a little bit messy, so I would work like, you could even do this outside if you wanted to, but I don't know if I would necessarily do this in your bedroom. All right, so I'm mixing up that color. It's a really pretty kind of earthy red. If we lived in Georgia or somewhere out west where the rocks are red, we could actually use the clay from there. Ooh, so the paprika is pretty. So you can see it's this orange consistency, or not consistency, orange color. Now I gotta say, these don't smell great. It smells like a whole bunch of spices. Now add a little bit more water to thin this out. So what I want you to do first is have a whole page where you are experimenting, just like you can see here. Experimenting with the different colors. Different types of dirt will be different color too. This potting soil is gonna be a lot darker than if you just use like the clay that's underneath your grass. And you might find something as you're looking around your house that is totally different from that. All right, the last one, because I don't want, this is already getting like 9 minutes, I don't want to get too long. I'm gonna pour a little bit of this clay mask out. I'm gonna add some water. This might work too if you've got like, it doesn't have to be a dust like this. If you've got a face mask that is like in a tube, you could do that too. All right, this is pretty light. I might need some more. All right, I'm gonna paint this one on. So this one actually turned out pretty gray, not as green. I know if you add apple cider vinegar to it, it gets much more blue-green. And you could try mixing this with different substances, doesn't have to be water. I've seen people who've mixed this with like sodas before, or like I said, different vinegars. Okay, so here's my page of experimenting, just like that. And then the next thing I want you to do, so you've experimented, I want you to choose 1 or 2 of these, and you are gonna get back out your drawings that you did last week, and I want you to add a little bit of color to these drawings. So I'm gonna take out, let's see, I'm just gonna go on top of some of the shadows that I've done with this kind of face mask paint. And if you don't have, a paintbrush, a Q-tip works well too. It doesn't have to be a paintbrush. We are learning to paint with non-traditional materials. I'm gonna go in with the paprika and do the canister. Like I said, you could do 1 substance, you could do multiple. I kind of like when there's just 1 throughout that you take, go in like this. Okay, so I've just added some color to my picture. So for a photo today, I want you to send me by tomorrow sometime, or actually no, I'll say over the weekend since I'm uploading this so late today. Sometime before the end of the weekend, if you could, send me a picture of your still life drawings that you've added some of this non-traditional paint to, and then also send me a picture of your experimenting. I want to see pictures of what you used and also label them. So you can see I have my labels at the top there. If you want to think of something else that you could use that is different than what I've done, even better. So I'll see you guys next week. Don't forget to submit. Stay safe, stay healthy. I'll talk to you guys then. See ya.